All the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, fuck you. War.
Leave it in the chat. We can get my wife's answer.
Tonight, one of the key figures behind the January 6th attack on the Capitol, facing the toughest sentence in more than 1,000 prosecutions. Stewart Rhodes, the founder and leader of a far-right group called the Oath Keepers, was sentenced to 18 years in prison after being convicted of seditious conspiracy, using violence to prevent the government from carrying out its lawful duties. Rhodes was not physically present at the Capitol during the January 6th attack, but Judge Amit Mehta said he conspired with others to help make it happen and to take up arms and foment revolution. A former Army paratrooper who graduated from Yale Law School, Rhodes wore an orange prison jumpsuit during the dramatic court hearing. He showed no remorse, defiantly telling the judge that he considered himself a political prisoner. Judge Mehta responding to Rhodes, "You, sir, present an ongoing threat and a peril to this country, to the republic, and the very fabric of our democracy." Rhodes' lawyers promised an appeal.
Well, I think that this case was all about the weaponization of speech by the Department of Justice. And I think that essentially they have used Stewart Rhodes' words against him.
Prosecutors say Rhodes spent weeks after the election plotting to use violence to keep President Trump in power. The judge applied a so-called terrorism enhancement to Rhodes' sentence, the first time that has happened in a January 6th case.
It's a very significant sentence, and it sends a very, I think, important message of deterrence.
Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, also convicted of seditious conspiracy, is slated to be sentenced August 30th.
When you say that there were FBI assets in the crowd, in the building beforehand and certainly outside, what's the scale of this? Are you talking like 10, 20?
No. So real hard, objective, and conservative estimates would put the number of FBI assets in the crowd, outside, and working inside at well over 200.
200?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have seen evidence, and that spurred your questions to Chris Wray, that there were FBI assets dressed as Trump supporters within the Capitol. So that is proof of entrapment, because, of course, the federal government could have prevented entry into the Capitol building. There aren't that many doors. You work there, you know. But they allowed people in on purpose to entrap them. That's what that proves, I think. Does it not?
Well, it's certainly condemning. It's another piece of the strategy that the government employed to sort of complete the entrapment of Americans that they had infiltrated and then prodded and provoked with online with those original seeds planted of actions like, you know, what type of gear to wear and just in language that incited behavior that could go the wrong way.
All right. So welcome to Behind Enemy Lines. I am super excited. Both Mike and I are very, very excited. You know, all our guests are like important, but this one is super important. Not only is he super important, he's like here.
Yeah.
We have Stewart Rhodes here.
I'm super here.
Yeah, he's super here. And I believe in the history books, as long as the Democrats don't keep doing what they've been doing,
or rewriting the history books.
Yeah, after all the stuff that comes out, all the stuff that's coming out and will come out, right? He will go down as like a patriotic history figure, like the Revolutionary War.
I mean, that'd be a nice.
I mean, because this man deserves a medal for what he did. I know this is going to make a lot of people pissed off on the left, but I don't really care because they're scumbags. They're evil. If you're a Democrat today, right? Those Democrats that are watching this, that are going to bitch and whine, the media, you are an enemy of America. You're an enemy of my children. You're my enemy, right? You can't be a Democrat without being an enemy of America.
I'm not sure that's true. I don't push back on that. Tulsi Gabbard's definitely not an enemy.
What, is she still a Democrat?
Not anymore.
Okay, that's what I meant.
But I mean, she wrote I read her book in prison. It's called "For Love of Country," and the subtitle is "Leave the Democratic Party." So I think there's still good people.
She agrees with us.
Well, there's still good people in
Leave.
there, but she wants them to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just, I'm Southwest Side Italian, Union family.
You can't help it.
We were Democrats. My whole
Right.
family. I don't even talk to
Right.
a couple cousins, but my 86-year-old mom was a Democrat. The whole when I started transitioning, and not LGBTQ transitioning, I'm talking like to become a Republican. My mother was upset. She was angry.
Right.
My uncle was the president of People's Gas. I was all a union. I was in the film industry.
Hey, I was in the Teamsters Union in Vegas.
Yeah,
I know, but all the rank and file, they vote Republican. They just do it quietly.
Yes.
So there are still good people in the Democratic Party who just need to walk away like Tulsi Gabbard did. That's all.
And they're ill-informed. Or they're
no,
not,
a lot of them, they vote Republican. They just do it quietly.
Oh, no, I'm saying the ones that are there are ill. The ones that still haven't transitioned are somewhat ill-informed. My mom's older friends, right? My mom was a hardcore Democrat, but they watch the same stuff. They're older. They don't know any better. You know what I'm saying? And so anyway, we got Stewart here, which I'm so excited to have here. And we started out the opening with for a specific reason. We wanted people to see, if you guys go back in time, I see myself up there twice. Is that right? Or am I just seeing double? So if you go back in time,
too many drinks.
If you go back in time, do you remember the left, the mainstream media, how they said Trump was a liar? He had a permit for 50,000 people, right? There was only 50 or 75,000. There was, a million. I didn't count. Yeah. I wasn't good in math, but there was a million. My one friend says not 2 million. There was over 1 million people there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we wanted to show people that, just to refresh their memory, how much the mainstream media lies, how much the politicians lie, right? And try to discredit them from the get-go. And then the next thing, we wanted to show you how crazy it was, the things that the politicians, the judge said about Stewart, right? There was no insurrection. There was no conspiracy. No. He wasn't there. No, yeah. I went there. I was there with my buddy, Rob Waller. He came out now, the Cook County Sheriff. He was with me. He just retired. We went down there for two things. We went to see Trump speak, and we wanted to protect people from being beat up. When we're in our 60s, right? We saw parents and families throwing tables over, going into hotel rooms. Even at my age, I'm like, screw that. These pencil-neck Antifa weasels. We're going to try to protect the families. We're not going to let them do what should be allowed in America. And oh, by the way, why was I wearing that shit? January 5th, I was on IV for cancer. I had a knee replacement. Antifa and Stewart will tell you, they throw soup cans, frozen water. Mm-hmm. They stab you. We were there the people were dressed like that weren't there to dress like that to take over America. No. We were there to protect ourselves. Yeah. So that's all lie. Everything is said is a lie. This guy's a hero. They didn't create any violence. Matter of fact, I made a quote that was in the Southern Poverty and Law Center about the Oath Keepers before I met you. I said they didn't create any violence and stuff. And in the story, he acts like I was a liar. They were the Oath Keepers created violence inside the Capitol. None of that stuff's true. All that stuff's a lie. So I'm so glad to have him here. And at the end of the show, we've got big news. So for those of you guys that are Republicans, just enjoy this moment, suck it in, because there's a lot of crying going on.
The gnashing of teeth is going to be, and the screaming of the sky is going to be pretty epic.
So
exactly.
Mike, if you have anything, go ahead and we'll let him.
Well, I just want to tell the audience, there's a huge announcement, like you said, here at the end of the show. So we need all of you right now, more than ever, share this stream out, share it with all your friends, tag your liberal buddies in it, tell them to share it out too on this special, let's call this a Domestic Terrorism Tuesday episode of Behind Enemy Lines.
Anti-terrorism.
I bought this at Goodwill. For those of you who have never watched it, $1.99. My son went there, and I was like, "Wow, I didn't know that Goodwill was racist, white supremacist." So I bought it. On the way home, I spray painted it yellow. My wife was pissed. She knows why I'm doing it to antagonize the Democrats. All right, so we need to boycott Goodwill. They're racist, the Nazi loving. Right?
What's the yellow got to do with anything, though?
The Proud Boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember that the Proud Boys hate sign.
Okay.
So Stewart.
Well, actually, I used that way back when I first started Oath Keepers in 2009. There's a photo of me in my old Army uniform from the neck down doing the OK symbol, because Okay.
Oh, you didn't know you were racist.
Oath keepers, you know.
Yeah.
So
So Stuart, why don't you? I mean, I know most everybody knows who you are, but why don't you do like a little bit elevator pitch about your background, your
sure.
education, everything, and then talk about who the Oath Keepers were and why
Wow.
you organized the things that you've done for the community as
Right.
well as people, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a third generation. My mom's side of the family were Mexican immigrants, and that half of my family, all of them served in World War II. My mother's father was white. She's Mexican. She's half Mexican. Her dad was white, died in World War II, so she was raised by her Mexican family, which is so disgusting because she's a migrant farm worker growing up in dirt floored shacks, working the fields with her mother and her adopted father, which was a Filipino immigrant. When my mom was 10, my grandmother married a Filipino immigrant, and so she was raised. That's how she was raised, and so that's the only grandpa I knew from that side of the family. So it's disgusting. A lot of my cousins are half Filipino, half Mexican. So it's really disturbing to have the left and mainstream media try to paint me as racist and white supremacist. It's disgusting. It's a grave insult to my family. So my dad's side of the family was working class guys from Flint, Michigan, working in the auto industry. My dad was a Marine. That's how they met in Fresno Fresno, California, on a blind date.
So your dad was a racist too, right?
I guess so.
I'm joking.
But he's a racist like Mexican chicks though. So yeah, that's my family background, and both sides of my family have served this country, every generation. And so when I turned 17, I did enlisted enrollment program, and I joined the Army at the age, right after graduation, age of 18. I was in basic training in airborne school and served as a paratrooper. And my grandpa, on my dad's side of the family, served at the Battle of the Bulge. My grandpa, on my mom's side of the family, her dad, my mom's dad, didn't make it through World War II. That's why she didn't know him. So
Wow. So let's
that's my
go.
family background.
Your military and your education. Which Jesus Christ, man!
Right.
I went to junior college for 12 years, and you went to Yale.
Well, so what happened is I was disabled in a parachuting accident. We were doing rough terrain parachuting where you jump in the trees on purpose, and didn't work out so great at night. You can't see what you're doing. So I had a compression fracture in my spine. I fell about 75 feet, landed on my ass, got a compression fracture. I have a fused spine and 2 steel rods. So I'm a service-connected disabled veteran, which will matter later when we talk about what was done to us, us veterans, at J6. So spoke rehab, the Army paid my way through college, or the VA paid my way through college, starting out at community college, transferring to UNLV, and I got straight A's. I busted my ass. And I was also working as a concealed carry instructor and a valet parker at night. So I went through college, got straight A's. Right after college, I worked for Congressman Ron Paul. Thank God.
Yeah.
That's really a blessing. I wanted to find someone in Congress. I wanted to work for someone in Congress, but I wouldn't work for anybody who would violate the Constitution. I could find one guy. I took it serious. That was Ron Paul. So I worked for him for a year, and after that, then I applied for law school, and I got into Yale Law School. That's right. I went there during 9/11. I was sitting in first year torts class when that happened, and so that was my experience.
What was your degree?
Yale Law School.
Law degree. Sorry, I
degree,
missed that.
right?
Yeah.
Law degree.
Oh
yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, so I wrote a paper while I was there because I watched. Sadly, I watched. We had a lot of unity right after 9/11, and then I watched the Bush administration use the righteous anger about 9/11, to funnel in a bunch of unconstitutional crap. Patriot Act, VHS. Not even worse than that though was the claimed authority of the president to use the laws of war against American citizens.
And it's from that point, right, when you saw that, and if you fast forward, and I'm not in the same category as you, but I was labeled. They used some of those laws from the Bush administration to come.
Well, that was the point. I was telling my fellow students, I was like, guys, everything you're creating in the name of fighting Islamic terrorism, because they're like, what do you want? And I was like, hey, this is unconstitutional. What do you want? Mushroom clouds over U.S. cities? I said, look, guys, whatever you put in place to fight domestic terror or Islamic terrorism is eventually going to be turned inward on us, on the political right. And I was right. That's what Obama did as soon as he came in. He forgot all about domestic terror or Islamic terrorism, and the focus was on us. Like I got a Quad S designation. I know you did too. The SSSS designation. That was applied to me during Obama. But I tried to warn them. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. After a while, I stopped flying because the harassment was so bad. it got to be the point where they would make me miss my flights.
Did they start, like, you go through the Quad S at the security checkpoint, but before you board, did they pull you out of line and
Well,
check you again?
I couldn't check my bags. I couldn't
Yeah,
get
you
a
had to
ticket
walk them over
until they called
you know,
DHS to get
in
permission.
DC. In DC.
Right.
Yeah, same thing would happen to me and my
Right.
whole family went to Charlie Kirk's, my kids, my wife.
Right.
They Quad S to all of them because they
Right.
were with me.
Yeah, like just recently when I first got out of prison, when President Trump set us free, I was traveling with Ivan Raiklin and his son, and they got the Quad S because they were with me.
Wow.
His son got 13-year-old kids getting frisked by the Gestapo.
Did you get what's so odd is like a month after Trump was inaugurated, I got my TSA pre-check back. Did you get yours back yet or no?
No, what happened is they ended the program. I was still Quad S even after Trump got back in. It's delayed.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. When Obama was in, it got to be the point where I get harassed, at the initial checkpoint going in, but then any transfer flight have a mobile station set up.
Yes, they do with the little
with like a whole squad of guys just for me.
I went up one time. I said, "Hey, I'm sitting
I'm
there.
the guy.
I'm sitting. Yeah, they're like, oh, people are business guys. I'm like, they're here for me. I'm a terrorist. I go, I'm kidding. I walk up. I remember this black tee. I go, hey, I'm the Quad S. Sir, step back, please. Step back. I go, are you serious?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm on a flight. One time I was on a flight with two other Oath Keepers. Oh man. So we had like multiple, you could see multiple air marshals all around us.
Yeah.
You could tell.
You could tell.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Tulsi Gabbard said, you could tell them. You could spot them.
Yeah.
So, but it got to be so bad. I flew from Montana, that's where I was living back then, to a connecting flight in Seattle. They marched me all the way down, police escort, all the way down to the main gate, as though I just walked in off the street. And we go through all of it. I missed my flight.
Yeah.
And I stopped flying.
Yeah, we
I
missed
just
our
drove
my
across
family
country.
did.
I got done with that. I was done. So when Trump came in that first time, about a month after he got into office, it went away magically. But then when Biden came in, of course, I'm back on it. So I got released from prison. I'm back on the terror list again under Biden. So the tail end of that during the new Trump administration, 2025, I'm still getting the Quad S until the end of the program.
Wow. So it's interesting and it's crazy. And you know what really frustrates me, you got all these Democrats now talking about the king and the weaponization of law enforcement and the Department of Justice. Look what they did to him. I mean, so many people.
Oh,
I mean,
they did it across the country.
Yeah. I mean, the FBI, I didn't go in. I was there. I looked like I was ready for battle, but I wasn't. You don't go and take over the most powerful country in the world with a flagpole and a camera. It just doesn't happen. You don't have to be a military expert to know that. That wasn't the intent.
Right.
And they weaponized the government. And now it's coming out with, what's it, Mike? Operation Arctic?
Arctic Frost. Yeah. 274 FBI agents embedded in the crowd. They spied on Charlie Kirk, Turning Point, numerous other organizations, several members of Congress, senators. We don't even know the totality of it yet. It's 92 different conservative organizations, these Arctic Frost to spy on them.
So, Mike, now that you said that, right, it's a good time if you want to show that video of Jacob Chansley and so I was walking out at 1:30. 1:30, we were leaving the Capitol. I think people entered at 2:10, roughly, around 2:10.
About there, right.
And so we left we were on the west side. We were there from, we're behind Ray Epps. We'll talk about that because I know you want to talk about him.
Yeah.
And we just happened to be on that side. Then the whole crowd kind of flowed that way. You know what I mean? When it started happening.
You were on the west side?
Yeah, we were on the west side.
I was on the east side.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we I filmed him from the back, very similar to that one that went all over the place. And then there was all these different barriers. The last one was the police officers, right? And things were getting crazy. And I told my friend who just retired as a cop, I knew him since we were 14 years old. I'm like, let's go. I was tired. I was exhausted. And we left. There was no insurrection plan. Nobody had any intent. There was no weapons. I mean, you had the Oath Keepers. We were there with the Proud Boys from the state of Illinois that were in our same hotel.
All unarmed.
Yeah.
No guns.
Yeah.
All unarmed.
Yeah.
Everybody. Oh, and then we had the Bullfang radios. Did you have? I don't know if you guys.
Sure. We were doing security. Of course,
So my understanding is we had a lot of military guys, not as many as Oath Keepers, but it was eye opening. I got there so late they couldn't program my Bullfang radio because I got there at 1:30 in the morning, something like that. And the purpose of that was the communication amongst ourselves to box in Antifa or BLM if they showed up. We were trying to, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, we were going to try, because last time it was the Proud Boys, but now the Oath Keepers, we were able to these aren't military guys. We want to box them in so we can fuck them up. I mean, honest to God,
that's the Proud Boy way.
Yeah. and so I was dressed like that to protect myself.
Right.
And then if you see the Sedition Hunters, that website, they call me what do you call it? Big pouches. So
Big pouches.
Yeah, because I was loaded up with bear spray. I had 4 big canisters of bear spray. I just had I was on an IV for cancer, for melanoma. I'm not asking for sympathy.
Yeah, you walked away from chemo.
I was exhausted. January 5th at noon, I'm University of Chicago on an IV for melanoma cancer. I had a knee replacement. So I have no problem. I always say I could fart and knock over 3 Antifa, right? I'm by myself. But I was not myself that day. So that's why I was dressed that way with the big pouches was bear spray.
That's why everyone's dressed that way. And that's an important point. We were there to do security. We were doing volunteer security as we had done across the country through the entire Trump administration. And we had done in November, December, and January volunteer security in D.C. for permitted events around the Capitol, for VIP speakers like PSD details, like for example for Roger Stone.
Yeah.
And and also a general escort service for any Trump supporter that was vulnerable
to go back to their cars.
Yeah, because Antifa likes to attack old people.
Yeah, they went back to their cars.
Right, exactly. We've done that all over the country outside of Trump campaign rallies. Because at Trump campaign rallies, Antifa knows you're going to go through Secret Service screening. They know that when you come out, you're going to be unarmed as you walk back to your car. That's when they attack people. And they don't attack guys that look like they can fight.
Yeah.
They attack old people.
They're bully punks.
Yeah, they're like low level, like a friggin' jackal or a coyote. They're low level predators. So we would always do a volunteer security operation, and it was a mindfuck against Antifa. Because they couldn't do anything. Because we post up armed guys, armed ex-cops and military on the outside of the Trump rally. And we were like with a big sign saying, if you want an escort back to your car, let us know.
Oh, that's good.
And I'd also say, for every Oath Keeper you see with an Oath Keeper hat or T-shirt, there's 2 you don't see. And that was a serious mindfuck.
That's what we do the same thing with us.
So we'd shut down Antifa. They were terrified of they were terrified of Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. And never, in fact, in the history of Oath Keepers, all we did across the country, not one time did they ever close on us or attack anyone we're protecting. Because it turns out Antifa doesn't want to die.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, and this applies to the Proud Boys.
Right.
So did the Oath Keepers ever go to just a Biden rally all by themselves?
Pardon?
Did the Oath Keepers ever just show up at a Biden rally? No. I knew the answer to that. I'm being sarcastic.
No.
So the left, right? The left say that they're a violent group. They beat up counter protesters. They don't say it's Antifa comes and hunts out people in our side to start fights with us. There's another falsehood. You keep seeing the media, politicians, entertainers say there's no such thing as Antifa. It's an ideology. It has no org chart. It's decentralized. Well,
not true.
They go, not like the Oath Keepers, not like the Proud Boys. Well, you know what? When next time you hear a Democrat or a politician or a reporter say that, say thank you for reinforcing the fact that they are a terror organization. Right? I got 35 years ago, I got in trouble, the Chicago mob, right? Do they have an org chart?
No, probably not.
Who put together the org chart? The FBI and the Chicago Crime Commission. Are they centralized? No, they're decentralized, and they got crews, and they got guys that head up different crews, so they keep you from going up the pyramid of the food chain, so to make it harder to get to the top. Is it an ideology? Absolutely, it's an ideology, especially when they came over from Sicily. That describes Antifa. So they're doing this on purpose. You know why they aggressively went after the Oath Keeper and Proud Boys? Because they saw people had an opportunity to protect themselves. Because Antifa was weaponized by the Democrats. They wanted to intimidate people to make the crowds less than what they are.
We shut Antifa down across the country. And we worked side by side with the Proud Boys many times, just to be clear about that. Like in Portland, Oregon, in Berkeley, California, many times we worked side by side. And they have a different strategy. The Proud Boys are more confrontational and they want to go street fight. With the Oath Keepers, 30% of my membership was retired cops and their military. Our ethos was the quiet professionals. They could yell all they want. We wouldn't yell back, and we wouldn't do anything to them as long as they didn't try to attack anybody. Mm-hmm. And we never had to use force. In fact, the entire time we operated, not one time did we ever have to pepper spray, use a baton, or shoot anybody, or even punch or kick Antifa. Mm-hmm. They were afraid to close.
No, they're pussies. They're
and I'm not knocking the Proud Boys at street fight. That's not my point. I'm just saying it's just different strategy. So that's what's kind of bizarre to have the leftist media try to say, Oath Keepers is one of the more violent organizations. It's just complete nonsense.
Yeah.
We never had to use force because they were afraid to close.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
and that's why they target you guys too, because you're not out there using force. There's nothing that they can point to try to discredit you. So instead, they make things up. They know there's not an avenue for us to get out a counter narrative, at least not at that time. But it's really about silencing any opposition, preventing anyone else from joining, preventing other people from going there and providing security, doing all the things you're doing to help protect the crowds at these right-leaning events.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. Because I know we kept talking because we're gonna get redirected. There's so much cool stuff to talk about. That J6 video. Do you have that handy?
Yep.
And so as Mike is getting ready, I want to tee this up. It was at 1:31, actually, to be exact. Me and my friend Rob Waller, ex-Cook County Sheriff, were leaving January 6th. I was exhausted. It's a half an hour before people went in. And so we'd stop, take pictures, and then I hear, freedom, freedom. And I'm like, who the hell is that? That's at Jacob Chansley, who I just thought he was a pothead walking in.
He is a pothead.
I mean, I'm like, what the hell is this guy? No shirt on. I'm freezing, And then I didn't know until 2 years after January 6th, everybody's getting arrested. I hid the stuff. I hid my stuff. And then I hid everything.
You hid your hand?
Yeah, I hid my hand. And then I had my camera. I hid this video. And then after I'm like, okay, the FBI went to the Cook County Sheriff's Office with pictures of me and my friend. He had Cook County Sheriff hat on.
Right.
Who goes to a insurrection as a sheriff with the Cook County Sheriff logo?
Right.
So they went and talked to my friend's boss's boss, the third week of January. And then we didn't know till April at a reunion for cops where he told my friend, he was like, yeah, the FBI came in. As soon as they found out you were retired, they left.
Yeah.
So that shows what scumbags they are. My buddy Rob Waller, he retired 2 months before that. He would have lost his pension if he was still a cop.
Oh, yeah.
And they knew we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do.
Oh, they
so
know.
I hid everything. I was scared. And then 2 years later, I'm thinking, all right, I'm comfortable, right? So I look at this video that we're going to show you. So I want you guys to be careful and watch what's going to happen. And I got a couple still shots at the end of it. This guy was facing all the crowd that was walking in to approach the Capitol. Now, keep in mind, there were people all over. That was just one guy. Who goes to an event by themselves and stands with a bullhorn by themselves? Who would go to January 6th by themselves? You know what I mean? Not many people unless you're a whack job. And they were spread strategically all over. Get up there. We need more people, right? So this guy, as we were walking out, was yelling on the bullhorn, take a picture, everyone. Take a picture. Show the world. What happened to those that took the pictures? They went to jail. Sedition hunters, they went to jail. This guy was absolutely working with the feds in some capacity. He might even be a Fed. And look carefully, he wrapped his head. He put a hat on. He put earmuffs on for a megaphone, which I don't understand why. He had to have just like this. And then he wrapped a handkerchief around, a scarf around it. He had his face covered up to right under his eyes. His hands were covered. We couldn't see his hair. So I want you guys to look at this very carefully now that this stuff's coming out and make your own decision on what this guy is.
Stand up for your country. That's right. Get a picture. Don't let him lie. Get a picture. Show them how many people are here.
Oh, you missed the still shot, so you got the wrong one up there. So anyway, I have still shots of that guy's face, really close up ones, where as I described, he had a hat on, he had these on over, he wrapped a scarf
bandana
this way. Yeah, you couldn't see him, and he's standing by himself, yelling this into the crowd, the approaching crowd, not the crowd that's there, but as they were approaching from after seeing Donald Trump. That guy was purposely one of the agitators. This guy was asking people to take pictures. But there was another instance when we were up front before I talked to my friend Rob, let's go. He's up in front of me 20 feet. I was ready to go at the time. And there was a guy behind us kept saying, get up there. We need more troops. Go, yelling. We need more troops over and over again for 10 minutes. And I'm like looking at my friend. I'm like, come on, let's get the fuck out of here. I wanted to go. So I was already crabby. I was tired. And then some older lady was to my right, and she looked over her shoulder towards me. and told the guy, why don't you get your ass up there? And I was thinking that in my own mind, right? And I pulled my American flag mask down and smiled at her as acknowledging, like,
Yeah.
right? And then, your people, they were everywhere. They were all over the place. Now it's coming out there was 230 of them there. So
274.
yeah, so
At least.
I know this is going to get out because it's going to be controversial because of Stewart and his big announcement at the end of the show. And another announcement over there, another guy, he's over there on the couch he's in the warm-up seat. And so hopefully, some people from the government are going to see this, right? And look at this person, no different than sedition hunters. They saw pictures of us and they tied them all together. Who the hell was this guy in this mask? Why did he so carefully? I don't think he was Antifa because he seemed a little too intelligent the way he wrapped himself up. You know what I'm saying?
There's a whole bunch of, one of the, Brad Geyer, a good attorney, one of the attorneys for my co-defendant, Kenny Harrelson, went through and found, in the crowd, teams of military contractor-looking men who were well organized, worked together as a team, went around with an obvious mission: make sure windows got broken, make sure people got inside. Then they go to another place, open another window, and a lot of that was not allowed to be shown to the jury. The judge was very hostile to him showing all of it to the jury. He'll only let him show a little bit. And so, like Ray Epps, for example, we were not allowed to show the video of Ray Epps the night before J6 on January 5th. He's on video saying, tomorrow we got to go into the Capitol. So he's on video actually doing what I was accused of doing. He's encouraging people to go into the Capitol, articulating a plan and trying to recruit people. That you think he'd be sitting next to me at trial as a co-defendant. But nope.
So you couldn't show the video from the night before, but could your defense attorney bring up?
No, we couldn't mention his name. We couldn't call him as a witness, which is what I wanted to do. We couldn't show the video of him on the night before or on January 6th, telling people, that way, go towards the Capitol, like you said.
Yeah.
And then whispering in the ear of Ryan Samsel before he pushed over the first bike rack there by the Peace Monument. That was also not shown to the jury.
So what was his connection with Ryan?
I don't know. But I know his connection with Oath Keepers. He used to be a state chapter president for Oath Keepers back in 2010 in Arizona.
He's probably working
for a year. I don't know. But I know this. He resigned in 2010 and said, I got too many obligations for my family business. And we never saw the guy again. I didn't know he was even around in D.C. until after the fact to see him on video. But point is that they don't care about X or current. They don't give a damn about that. They would take any. You would think that the bad guys, they would take any Oath Keeper, current or former, and say, look at this.
Yes.
They have an Oath Keeper on video articulating the plan. And he'd be sitting right next to me at trial. That's a good thing.
Yes.
But no, he's disappeared from our trial. And when the J6 Select Committee showed Ryan Samsel pushing over the first bike rack, along with other guys, and right before that, you got Ray Epps whispering in Ryan Samsel's ear, that was cut out. They never showed Ray Epps doing that. They just showed only Ryan Samsel. So across the board, in the media, J6 Select Committee, and in our prosecutions, Ray Epps was protected and disappeared. It didn't exist.
So when we're downstairs later, I'm going to show you because it's been so long I forgot. So January. So remember I said I was behind Ray Epps with my
ask
friend.
Me if you think Ray Epps is a Fed.
Yeah, he's a Fed. Is he a Fed?
I think so.
All right. So I'm going to show you downstairs, right? Because we don't have time, Mike, to show this. I forgot to send it to you because I didn't think we're going to get down this path. January 11th, I sent Ben Bradley, you liberal piece of shit from WGN Investigative Reporting. He's in Chicago and he did a couple stories on. I caught up con man and stuff.
Right.
I sent him Ray Epps' picture. I got it in here. So it's easy for people to say after the fact.
Yeah.
I sent it on January 11th. I said, this guy's up to no good. I was behind him. I don't know if he's Antifa or someone else or a plant. He doesn't look like Antifa. Ben Bradley from WGN is a liberal, was telling me I was full of shit. And it was all Trump supporters. So I knew standing behind there, just as I'm sitting in the car, a long drive home, like I save certain videos.
Right.
I sent it to him. I knew he was
a Democrat. Suspicious back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm as somebody that was standing behind him, I saw this guy. I saw his behavior before any of this came out. And I'm we'll show another time. I'll show it to Stewart downstairs. But absolutely 100% that guy was working with the feds.
He was a provocateur.
Yeah, he wasn't an Antifa.
No.
No.
He's not Antifa, but I mean, like I said, but why would they protect him and try to hide him from the public? Why was he not charged? He was not charged until we complained so much hit him with a slap on the wrist misdemeanor and try to say, "Oh, look, we charged him." You got no jail time at all.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot.
So, January 6th again. Why don't you tell everybody about the Oath Keepers and quote the violence? I'm being sarcastic. There was no violence.
No
Right?
violence.
The violence that they said, it's a lie. I remember they went through in a line and stuff, right? Everybody saw that.
Well, here's the thing. We were there to do security, as we had done in November and December, we had done security for permitted events around the Capitol. There were at least 6 or 7 permitted events all the way around the Capitol on January 6th. We were there to protect 2 of them. One, Latinos for Trump, about a block north of the Capitol, next to the Senate building in a park, Area 7. And I spoke that morning at Latinos for Trump rally. That was a member of Latinos for
You
Trump.
speak Spanish?
No, I don't, but I'm still part Mexican.
I'm
My mother wouldn't teach us Spanish because she wanted us to assimilate.
I only know the Italian swear words. But
So we were there for Latinos for Trump. We were there volunteer security and also for Ali Alexander's Stop the Steal rally right outside the east side doors in the Capitol grounds. Permitted event. And so my guys were escorting Ali Alexander's people from the Ellipse rally. They were in the VIP section, walking them all the way to the Capitol for their pre-planned event where Marjorie Taylor Greene was going to speak, Josh Hawley was going to speak, other members, Louis Gohmert, members of Congress were going to speak there that day, and Roger Stone was a scheduled keynote speaker. And so I had a security detail on Roger Stone, and I had a detail on Alexander and all of his people that were going to speak there. That's why we were there. That's why my guys marched to the Capitol, escorting the speakers for Ali Alexander's event to the Capitol for their planned event. By the time they got there, no one was doing that. They were up on the steps, singing songs. Their protectees ran up the steps like everybody else. So they followed the protectees up the steps. That's why they were there. It wasn't a military assault team formation. How else do you walk up? How do you walk 10 guys up steps?
Yes.
Do you do it abreast, trying to push the crowd, or you walk in a line?
Right.
So they walked up the steps in a line, and of course the media seized on that. Here are the Oath Keepers in they called it what do they call it?
A military formation.
Attack formation or whatever. So this is complete garbage. And then the east side doors were open. It was 20 minutes after others had entered the Capitol, as it turns out. The doors opened mysteriously from the inside. No one to this day knows who opened the doors. Those people were never identified or charged, of course.
And we have it on video. Somebody ordering the other guy to unlock the magnetic doors.
Right. But has that guy been charged? No, of course not. Yeah. He's probably a fucking fed. Pardon my language. So the doors opened 20 minutes after, so they didn't lead anything. It was 20 minutes after others had entered the Capitol. And they didn't breach the doors. They were accused of breaching the east side doors. They didn't have a battering ram. They didn't blow them up or anything. The doors opened from the inside, and they just wandered through like everybody else. But they're like pushed in by the mass of the crowd. They get inside, and the first thing they do is incredibly dangerous and seditious. They knelt down in a circle and prayed. They did a prayer circle. That's so dangerous. And then they went and helped the police officer, Harry Dunn, who was about to open fire. Had his M4 in his hand, was hyperventilating and screaming and yelling, "He's going to take all you MFers with me," to a bunch of Trump supporters. And our guys, like Kenny Harrelson's Army veteran, saw that and said, "Okay, this guy's getting ready to snap." And so they got in between him and the Trump supporters, with their backs to Harry Dunn, put their hands toward the Trump supporters, and de-escalated things and calmed Harry Dunn down. I don't think Harry Dunn was ever in any danger from any Trump supporter, but
was that ever captured on any video at all?
Some. Of course, magically at my trial, the video, there's like bloggers walking by and filming everything, but it would just blank out, go black when they passed our guys. They were never shown to the jury. Yeah. But turns out Harry Dunn, in his first interview with the FBI, admitted the Oath Keepers helped him that day. He said, "Yeah, I let the Oath Keepers help me." You
guys hear that?
I let the Oath Keepers help me.
He let you.
Yeah. But he acknowledged they helped him.
Yeah.
I let the Oath Keepers help me keep some Trump supporters from coming down the staircase I was guarding. That's what he said in his first interview. But by the time we got to our trial, he gets on the stand and says, "Oh, that was some other group of guys dressed in military outfits that helped me that day. I got confused.
There was no video.
That wasn't the Oath Keepers. The Oath Keepers were really actually threatening me." And then he said, "And Officer Lazarus saw that." And Lazarus is a special agent for the Capitol Police who works on Nancy Pelosi's security detail.
Figures.
So he gets up there and says, "Yes, I was with Harry Dunn that day, and the Oath Keepers were not helpful at all. They're lying about that. They were actually threatening him." They both say they were together, and both saying that we were not helping them, we were threatening them. That's a lie, because Steve Baker later on, the guy from Blaze Media, found video of Officer Lazarus in the tunnels under the Senate at that moment. You can't be in two places at one time. So he wasn't where he said he was. Both of them were lying on the stand. They've both been caught lying on the stand. And what I want to know is, why aren't they being charged for perjury by Pam Bondi's DOJ? They've been caught red-handed committing perjury.
Yes.
So I'm not seeing
it seems like they're making movements slowly.
I don't buy it, brother.
Very slowly.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to for Pam Bondi. Nope. Nope. I think Pam Bondi is full bar in a wig and high heels. That's what I think.
Pretty much. I mean, you guys realize the clock runs out on all these deep state charges in 3 more months. You know, I'm sick of these little. It'll be 5 years. Unless they call it a seditious conspiracy, which I don't think Pam Bondi has the balls to do.
Yeah. Well, she won't have the balls to do that, but she won't do it.
Yeah, well, regardless, though, I'm sick and tired of this. The clock's running out. We voted for justice. This isn't about revenge or anything else. I want to see some. You realize they're sitting on, it's either 18 or 19 referrals from Congress right now, just for all these people around Biden, around Obama, that lied under oath to Congress. Those aren't even the serious charges, and they won't move on them. I mean, we've got to see some action from her, like now, or nothing's going to happen, and then they're just going to do it again because they never learned a lesson.
Oh, it's going to be 10 times worse. Yeah. That's right.
Bingo.
So we're not seeing movement in the DOJ. We're not seeing movement in the FBI. They only fired those FBI agents that were recently identified as working on the spying of congressmen. Apparently, Dash Patel and Bongino don't give a flying F about all the ones, 5,000 FBI agents that went after us and our families and our friends and against abortion protesters and people that don't like, boys in locker rooms.
Yeah.
They went after all of them. All those agents are still on the job. They only get fired when it's disclosed that they were spying on congressmen.
Yeah, don't you find it ironic that the left is really whining and complaining that with Tom Holman and these millions and millions of illegals and criminals and Trent Largua members that were let into our country, some of the FBI, certain percentage, and I don't remember the number, has been diverted to help them. They're like, oh no, drugs are coming in. Did you see that recently?
No.
Oh yeah, they're complaining. The FBI has lost their focus because of this. But they had no qualms with FBI agents showing up at my house, at 60 years old. I didn't do anything wrong, or all these other people.
Oh yeah.
That what I mean?
It's weird to see leftists who in the past were all about, exposing the FBI for COINTELPRO, the persecution of civil rights people, the murder of, what was his name, the Black Panther guy? Fred Hampton, yeah. I mean, the murder of Fred Hampton, they murdered him in his bed, straight up killed him because he was a threat to, because he was started the Rainbow Coalition. That's what they really worried about. They were cool with the Black Panthers being radical black activists. They didn't like it when they started talking to poor whites and Hispanics and Asians, trying to bring them all together. That was a threat. Unity is a threat. So they killed him in his bed. So the left used to be against the FBI because of all of that. But now they're like FBI cheerleaders and then cucks. They just love the FBI.
Yeah.
They just get on their knees and worship the FBI.
So tell us, as we're working through the story here, tell us, everybody I think from the Oath Keepers got arrested. That was at January 6th, right? Tell us a little bit about your
we had about 100 people there all together, but not everyone was at the Capitol. So the ones that went
But you weren't at the Capitol, right?
I was there on the outside trying to find my security detail that I knew was coming from the Ellipse.
But you were close enough to
I was outside, but didn't go inside.
Yeah.
That's why it took them a year to charge me, because I had to go cook up false testimony. I had a couple of guys that were scared by we were all threatened with life in prison. And, the ones that had been arrested were being held in life, held in solitary confinement. And so that was how they coerced a couple of guys to roll over and take a deal and dishonor themselves. Yeah. And then sign a false confession that they were involved in a seditious conspiracy.
Yeah, they coerced them.
And false testimony. They signed a statement that said Stewart Rhodes plans since November of 2020 to attack the Capitol. So that's when they arrested me, like January 13th, 2022. So a whole year. So I'm out for an entire year, right?
Yeah.
I didn't blow any buildings up, didn't attack anybody. But yet I was deemed so dangerous. Yeah. My only priors were speeding tickets, but yet I was so dangerous because of the charges that they held me in solitary confinement from the day of my arrest. all the way
Tell
through.
us about you the day of your arrest and how they arrested you with who and what.
Oh yeah, so they showed up, at rifle point, FBI agents and whoever else was with them. But marching outside, I was staying at the home of a good friend in Dallas, Texas, and they marched me and him out the front door with our hands up under rifle point, just like everybody else. And the media was, of course,
Any helicopters?
oh sure, they were trying to. The media screwed up.
Yeah.
They didn't get there in time. They were planning on being there to film
Like
it all.
Roger Stone.
That's right. They wanted the perp walk, but they didn't get it because they got there too late. So, but I was, at gunpoint, held at rifle point, cuffed and put in the back of back of a FBI agent's car. And while I'm sitting there, these two Poindexter looking like accountants come walking up. I'm like, who are these clowns? And it turns out the two IRS guys. Oh,
Just so you know, FBI used to love to hire accountants. Just so you know, they really did. From
no,
college.
but these guys look like
But
weenie
no, I'm
accountants.
just saying. I knew that when I was younger. FBI, because the way they think and their brain thinks to kind of go through the books. Unrelated, but I just knew this since I was like thinking about.
No, the FBI agent that arrested me is the same one that had taken my phone, or no, had given my phone.
How
back.
did he treat you too? Was he a dick or was he?
No, they were polite, but he's an asshole. He let them stand against me. Yeah. But here I'm sitting in the back of the car, cuffed in the FBI agent's car. And these two Poindexter looking dudes walk up. They're like, "Hey, we're from the IRS. Just so you know, you're being investigated for tax evasion. Also, it's like, okay,
Oh, like Al Capone.
right? Yeah. Oh yeah. So then from that moment on, that day on, I was solitary confinement.
So tell people what it's like
presumption
to
of
be
innocence is gone in this country.
tell people what it's like to be so I got I got in trouble. I was in the hole for a while. Each minute is like between you live from breakfast, lunch to dinner. Tell everybody how torturous and the Democrats before this all happened wanted to stop anyone from going into the hole. Remember that?
Right.
So tell them how bad that is.
Around the world.
Mentally.
Around the world, anytime an American citizen is held in solitary confinement for an extended period of time, like more than 3 weeks, anywhere in the world, like in Japan, for example, or Norway, they will complain. The State Department will complain against that government, calling it torture. That you're torturing our citizens.
And the Democrats call it torture before January 6th.
Before January, like I said, before January the 6th are all about taking down the CIA and the FBI. But now that they love all that, and they love solitary confinement. So yes, solitary confinement is rightly recognized as a form of torture around the world by our own government.
It is mental torture after a while, isn't it?
Sure, because the whole goal is coercion.
You can only jack off so many times.
But here,
sorry, we could edit that out.
TMI.
Sorry.
That's okay. Leave it in. So, but my ace in my sleeve was three things. One, my faith. I know that what man means for evil, God will use for good. I kept the story of Joseph always in mind. That his being sold into slavery by his brothers, being betrayed by his master's wife, and falsely accused, put in prison. He didn't roll up in a ball and give up. He just carried on. So I knew that out of this would come God's will. So that's one. Two, my fact that I was a paratrooper, I had served in the military. I saw myself as a POW, and my oath was against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I knew that I was being held by the domestic enemies of the Constitution, and I'll be damned if I give them the satisfaction of breaking me. And I'm never going to cooperate with them. That's why I basically told the judge to fuck off at my sentence.
Good.
I looked right in the eye and said, I looked the jury in the eye at trial and said, that election was not just fraudulent, it was also illegal and unconstitutional. I spelled out exactly why under Article 2.
Was that a jury of your peers?
No.
I'm being sarcastic. I knew that.
That was a jury of radical, pink pussy hat wearing,
blue-haired moonbats.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And every one of those jurors admitted they had been in some kind of Black Lives Matter protest or anti-gun protest, and of course they paraded my completely legal rifles from Texas, my AR-15s that I did not take into D.C. left in a hotel room in Virginia. They showed those rifles and scary knives that I had, like a little short knife I had.
Yeah.
They showed that to the jury, to scare them. So, but point is though, is that they wanted to coerce us into confessing to something we did not do, and they wanted me in particular to turn on President Trump. And my co-defendants we were all threatened with life in prison. We were all held in solitary confinement, and all of my co-defendants. This is something about that you should know. They could have gone home. None of them had to do any of that time, even in pretrial detention and solitary. All they had to do was roll over and say, "Yes, I did this. I was part of a plot." And Stewart Rhodes told me to go in the building. So I want to say that those are men of honor.
Yes, they are.
All
Big
of
time.
men and women of honor, all of them. Yeah.
So Stuart,
And
you
they
know,
wanted me to turn on President Trump.
yeah,
But
of
over my dead
course.
body, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it.
So of your circle of friends, I lost my train of thought there. Oh my God.
Well,
how
we do
Go ahead,
we
Mike.
do have only about 10 minutes left. I know we got a couple announcements to make still.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do it.
So I know what I want to ask. Jesus Christ, I got so many things going through my head with Stuart. Tell us about the minute, the time you found out you were being released, and what it felt like to you, and then when you walked out. Because I saw you at the inauguration, but tell us about like when you heard.
You saw me outside the DC jail. You mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Tell us about the minute you heard, "Hey, Stuart, you're getting out," right? And then tell us about when you first walked out, how that oxygen felt to you when you walked out.
That was a good day. So I knew we were getting out. I knew that President Trump would keep that promise. Everyone in the prison knew it. And just so you know, like I have this tattoo of President Trump right here in my arm. I got that with his fist in the air, and it says "fight." I got that when he got shot in Butler, because that's the day, I knew, one, God had given him grace, God had saved his life, and two, he reacted like a stud. He reacted like a warrior.
He's like a wartime hero.
And all the men in my unit, black, white, Hispanic, they're like, damn, Trump's a legit OG, because he reacted like a fucking stud under gunfire. You got to go back to Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, or Andrew Jackson for that kind of courage and calm under fire. You really do. So that was a moment. You can't fake that. So that's when I knew that he had God's favor, and I knew we were saved. Our country was saved.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a surprise to me he won the election, and that's when he won the election, because he won the working man vote across the country. That's what Tulsi Gabbard came over, Joe Rogan, Robert Kennedy Jr., because they said, look, this guy's legit. So that was his high water mark during that election. So the day of inauguration, after he won, we were watching it on TV, and then we got locked down because someone got stabbed. It's just what happens. So
which prison were you in?
I was in Cumberland. It's a medium in Maryland.
Yeah.
So, and that's supposed to put
they didn't send you to Lewisburg, did they?
For a little while. That was great.
Oh, Lewisburg's fucked. It was back in the 90s.
I love Lewisburg, because we got to go outside in a nice yard.
Really?
After being in solitary confinement for over a year, Lewisburg was heaven.
Tell about the oxygen. You smell it after you get out of the hole.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I was in the hole. I was in solitary for over a year.
It's fucked up, man. It is
without
torture.
my face under an open sky, or
Torture.
my feet on the grass. So when I went to Lewisburg, I was there with other J6 awesome guys like Bees, Ramey, the cowboy guy, Lego Man. Robert
I love him. Lego Man. I owe you an email.
DJ, the Mexican guy from California, the one that did the stun gun against Ferrone.
Good.
Yeah, good.
He's an embarrassment to Italians, but keep on there.
Awesome. Oh, he is. Yeah. So it was awesome being with my brothers. We all sang the national anthem at night. It was great because it kept me isolated from all the other Oath Keepers for over a year. It want us together. So it was awesome to be in fellowship with my fellow guys. And Kenny Harrelson and Kelly Meggs came there too. So for the first time, this is after our conviction, we were together in fellowship. It was awesome. So, but in Cumberland, it took me to a medium, even though I only had like camp points. I had no priors, except speeding tickets.
But they didn't.
But they gave me a management variable, so put me in a medium. So we're in there locked down because someone got stabbed. But I could still listen. We had our TV station, the white boy TV was turned to Fox News. It's all segregated.
Yeah, black and white.
That's how it goes. It's just the way it is. I got along with everybody there. I was a GED tutor, an adult reading tutor, and I was also a suicide watch companion.
Really?
That's how I know Jeffrey Epstein did not fucking kill himself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially in MCC Correctional. I was down in Chicago. It's the same thing. And then he was on suicide watch.
Yeah.
No way.
You were on suicide watch? I would sit and watch a dude through the plexiglass for 4 friggin' hours until the next guy's shift. It's just this bullshit. So anyway, I did my time in Cumberland with honor, I believe, as a Christian man and a patriot. And all the inmates respected me. I had no problem at all with anybody, and all the guards too. They were like, "Hey man, we know you're a legit political prisoner." That's what SIS said. The guys in charge of internal security for the cops. So the day of we're listening to the radio. Me and my roommate, my cellmate, listening to the radio, and we hear Trump sign the pardons and all that. So I said, "I'm going home, brother." So it was, and then like 9:30, 11:30 at night, knock on my cell door.
I couldn't sleep that night.
Oh no, I was wide awake. So 11:30 at night, knock comes on the door. They're like, "Pack your shit, you're out of here."
Oh my god!
So I just, you're grin, stuff my duffel bag full of my crap, and off I went.
So tell the people when you first stepped foot out of what it felt like to breathe
It
air.
was fantastic. Yeah.
What was the first thing you ate? What was it? Do you remember the first thing you ate when you got out?
Well, not the very first thing I ate, but not too long after that. It was pretty good.
You nasty bastard.
The first thing I ate was fried chicken.
There you go.
I love fried chicken. That's my next favorite food.
I had hamburger. I had a hamburger and a milkshake.
You had a sausage. You know you did.
yeah. It was in there. They forced me.
sausage.
Yeah, it was. So all right. So I know we've been waiting.
So no, it was fantastic, and we went straight to just to back to being serious. I was picked up by Jim Baker, who worked for Condemned USA, which helped us when I was in, and I worked for them after I got out as a keynote speaker. But them also, and Mel Hawley, my co-author for my book that's coming up on Oath Keepers. But they picked me up that night, and then we found out, listened to the phone, our guys are still being held in D.C. jail against their will.
Yeah.
And so we went straight down there and started.
That's where I met you
where I saw you.
outside
Yeah,
out front. Yeah,
that's why we were there.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
interview. I'll put that up on the.
So what's funny is that me and Ivan Raikland teamed up, because Ivan was right there too. We teamed up and went into Congress. That 2 days later, Wednesday, we're in Congress talking to the attorneys, or not the attorneys, the congressman for Jeremy Brown's district in Florida. Because Jeremy Brown, Oath Keeper Special Forces, was still being held in prison. They're trying to say that his charges were not J6 related.
Yes, they were.
Total bullshit. So we went in there and talked to his congressman, Gus Villarakas. We went down to the cafeteria to have lunch, and then the media saw us. We got mobbed by the leftist media. So we held court for like 2 hours, laying the law down about how J6 was bullshit. The election of 2020 was stolen. We just held court. Judge Mehta saw that and flipped out. That Friday, he issued an order that myself and my co-defendants were banned from Washington, D.C. without his express permission.
Is it gone now?
Oh, it's gone. Because
I saw you there.
Because Ed Martin, on that following Monday, Ed Martin filed a motion dressing the judge down, saying you have no authority to do this. You're trampling on the First Amendment rights. And Judge Mehta backed off.
Tell him to go back to call center.
He did, and he backed off. And not only did he back off on that crappy order, he released us from any supervised release. I was supposed to do 18 months supervised release in California where my cousin lives. I'd been restricted from using the internet, all kinds of bullshit. But he released that. So
that's
yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. So before we do his last statement, I know everybody's been waiting for him. I just want to have Stewart give credit to when he was going through all these tough times, the politicians, those who stood by his side, those who defended him, had the courage.
Very few.
And you got to remember,
Clay Higgins is one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but at that time, you guys got to do a flashback, right? That was a difficult time for anybody, right? And
only for pussies.
The people that stood by Stewart, we want to make sure we acknowledge them right now. So I want to ask him that, and then he's going to have his announcement. So why don't you address that first, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah. So Sidney Powell paid for my attorneys. I want to give props to Sidney Powell. So the used to be retired. She's a retired federal prosecutor. Wrote the book License to Lie, and so she was righteous. She paid for my attorneys.
That's great.
She's one of the ones that all the other groups out there, Rutherford Institute, you name it, all across the board, all the conservative legal people. Oh, we don't do that kind of case law. We don't do that kind of cases. They wouldn't refuse to help us.
Or we're too busy.
So yeah. So thanks. So thank God for Sidney Powell. She paid for my attorneys. And I want to thank, like I said, Clay Higgins. He sent me through my attorney.
Love that guy.
Ed Tarpley's from Louisiana, one of my attorneys, one of the good ones. He sent me, he gave me at my sentencing a note, a card from Clay Higgins with his personal email on it, and a note from him, handwritten by saying, be strong, keep your faith in Christ, hold the line. So that was very encouraging to see that from a congressman.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to give props to Clay Higgins. I think he's a good man. So there are good people, like Thomas Massey squared away. I think there's good people in Congress that deserve our support.
How about Matt Gaetz? He came to my rescue.
Not mine. When Matt Gaetz was asked what he thought about me being sentenced to 18 years, he said, "Well, I don't really worry about." What do you say? What do you think about Stewart Rhodes being sentenced to 18 years? He said something like, "Oh, I'm not too bothered by it." They got due process.
So Matt helped me. I'm disappointed in that. He did help me, but I was easier than him. Well, I was easier than Stewart, man.
I don't know why. But yeah, you would think you'd know better than that by that point. But no, he said, "Oh, they had due process. They had a trial in front of the jury of their peers." And if they were really trying to overthrow the government that day, they were idiots, and so they
You
deserved
did a
it.
political answer.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm really disappointed in that.
Congressman Troy Niels helped me from Texas. I'm from Illinois, so we got a bunch of fucktards that don't do anything. So I got a question. After January 6th, what happened to the Oath Keepers? And then what's the future of the Oath Keepers now that the truth is coming out?
Well, the future of Oath Keepers is I have just launched a new website for Oath Keepers, oathkeepers.info, and we're going to carry on. And I'm going to rebuild the organization.
Throughout the United States of America?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Chapters everywhere?
Everywhere.
So you're going to have state chapter leaders and then maybe
Everything.
from there grow?
Yes.
What's the name of the website? This is like breaking news.
Oathkeepers.info. We just put it up, and we're going to drive on. Once again, and I'm just being dead serious, what man means for evil, God will use for good. It's going to come back bigger and stronger than ever.
Absolutely.
And with lessons learned. And so I learned a lot of lessons about who you can trust and who you can't. I had guys roll over and take a deal. I had a high-level leader in my organization roll over and take federal money with a trying to be an informant. I'm trying to call this guy as a witness at my trial. And then the prosecutor's like, well, he actually works for us now. He's paying this guy $6,000 a month to spy on us. I'm still under a gag order. I can't say his name, but the New York Times out of this cocksucker in November during our trial.
You hear that, New York Times?
Yeah, the New York Times.
Google search it.
Oathkeeper informant. So find his name.
So before January 6th, did you guys? Because I got active in 2020, the summer of love. I was never involved, right?
2020.
Yeah. And so I got involved with those other guys. Well, not really.
The Proud Boys.
I just hung out with them, and so I wasn't aware of a Oath Keepers in Illinois chapter at that time.
Hey, why don't we switch chairs for a second? I got to use the restroom.
So real quick, was there a chapter in Illinois before 2020?
Yeah, you got an early member.
Why don't you go? Why don't you go to the bathroom? And we're going to invite my friend Chad in here.
Bring Christian over here. He's a 20.
And then when he's done, we're going to close this out because I know Mike's. So my brother Chad here, he was in the Navy, right, Chad?
Hey,
so was my father. I love this guy. I love him not in an LGBTQ way. I love him he's one of the first guys I met early when I was kind of expanding my footprint.
Yeah, man. Oh my God.
So Chad is here, and Stewart has been palling with Chad, speaking around the state of Illinois. Chad has an announcement that he wants to make in behalf of Stewart and his announcement that Stewart just made. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Chad.
Absolutely. When Stewart told me he was going to reinvigorate Oath Keepers and put it back on a national stage, I was excited about that because I've known Stewart for almost 20 years. But more importantly, I've been listening to him and his consistent voice on media, not just on InfoWars, but on all the old podcasts. He's been the same guy for literally 25 years, just over and over since the Ron Paul days. And he said, I need to get all my chapter presidents and all the states fired up. I said, I'm your guy. Do it. He made the announcement to me just a week ago. And I said, I've always admired his work and what Oath Keepers can do with a bunch of trained men who are disciplined and unified around a coherent message,
country,
which is really just a constitution. Like Stewart always goes back to the Constitution. You can never go wrong if you bring it there. He's a libertarian. A lot of Republicans don't even hold Stewart close because he's too much of a libertarian for them.
Yeah,
because it's all about what George Bush called.
So
that.
are you?
I am too.
He's like educating me on the process. So I was ex-Democrat, Republican. I'm a Republican as a lesser two evils, but Chad has enlightened me on lots of things.
Yeah, and it really does go back to Dr. Ron Paul. It goes back to smart economics. It goes back to people. You'll find the smartest people that you come across in the conservative movement, if they've been in for any amount of time, they'll tend to be libertarians because it's really kind of the most decent. I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone. Nothing could be more American.
Yeah, right.
Nothing could be more American. And I love this whole movement coming back because one thing we can agree on the right, on the left, libertarians, crazy socialists even can almost always agree on the Constitution. And George Bush called it a goddamn piece of paper, but it's my goddamn piece of paper, and that's what I'll stick with.
So I got a question. So the website, once it's launched, right? It's not launched yet, right? It's gonna be.
The website's up.
Oh,
the URL he gave is up. It's
very
so stripped down.
We're the first show to announce.
You're the first show to announce the new website.
All right, so the website's up. So people go. What's the website again?
Website is
Oathkeepers.info, right?
There it is.
So if people go there, how, like, from the different states and different chapters to the United States, is it developed enough to go to, like, Illinois, New York?
Not
whatever?
yet, not yet. Right now, it's informational. It's very simple, but that's coming.
So this is awesome. So those of you who are interested in Illinois and you want to get connected with Chad, just reach out to me on X or whatever way. And then, Stewart's back.
Here's the man. I'm gonna hand him back the headphones so you guys can sign off.
Come over here, right?
Yeah,
Okay, come on over.
yeah.
Come on over.
So reach out to me as we close this out here. Come on over here. Roll over here. And then I'll connect you with Chad. So, like, tonight, I got friends that are in my basement right now. So the first unofficial
That's where he keeps them.
chapter meeting. Well, it's a nice
Yeah,
day. It's
chained to the radiator.
So the first unofficial chapter meeting of the state of Illinois for Oath Keepers is tonight. There's like 4 ex-military guys down there waiting to be with him, and they're getting together. I wasn't in the military. I wasn't a cop. I was chasing.
You're honorary, man. You're honorary.
Yeah. So I'm not part of the Oath Keepers. I would love to be, but I'm not. I respect them.
We'll make you an associate member.
Yeah, I respect those guys. So, the media's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not with the Oath Keepers. I respect them. No, I'm with them. I'm not I didn't.
He's with us in the same way as with
Yeah, I wasn't a cop, and I wasn't a cop, or I wasn't in the military, unfortunately. My only service to country is now fighting for us. So, these, there's guys waiting for them downstairs right now from the state of Illinois. So anyone from the state of Illinois that wants to get connected with Chad, you reach out to me. Nationally, Stewart, what's your website again?
Oathkeepers.info, and we'll make a Illinois Oathkeeper email for you pretty quickly.
All right.
It'll be up by tomorrow.
So
Awesome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to have these guys here today. And so hold on, I just want to put this right here.
One more time for the camera.
Yeah, here, and I hope the Democrats that are watching this, the mainstream media, fuck you.
That's right.
All right, Mike, you want to close it out?
Yeah, guys, the Oath Keepers are back. Again, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. We need to get this out to as many people as possible. Stewart, and Chad, I'm going to thank you guys for joining us. Thank you again for bringing the Oath Keepers back. I think it's something this country desperately needs right now, is real direction once again. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we're going to be back on Thursday with even more. Thanks again, guys.
Bye.